Bernalillo County District Attorney Sam Bregman, thanks so much for joining me here on New Mexico in Focus.
It's a pleasure. Good to be here.
Thank you. Now, we just laid out the landscape surrounding pretrial detention and the governor's repeated calls to change it. I'd like to start by asking you to explain how things work now. What exactly must your prosecutors do and prove in court to keep someone in jail before trial?
Well, let's go back a little bit. Bail reform took place several years back, and basically the idea, and I supported bail reform, and I still do, in the sense that nobody should be kept in jail simply because they can't afford to pay bail based on how much money they have. That is an unacceptable result. So we know that there are certain people, however, that because of their actions, because of the charges against them, perhaps because of their violent history, if you will, the charges are so severe in the sense of violence in the community, the safety of the community is at stake. There are certain people that should not be let out pending trial for the safety of the community. So it's a really important issue for us as prosecutors, because we know that too often folks that are violent in nature, folks that have been charged with violent crimes and have a history of violent crimes, while they're waiting for that trial date, they commit another violent crime, and the community suffers deeply because of it. So of course, we have some burdens now, and we welcome any burden under the law that we need to do to keep them held. We file pretrial detention motions currently, which is at our burden basically is to show that based on the charges, based on the history, based on what's going on, there is no reasonable condition that can be put on that defendant to ensure the safety of the community. And because of that, judges have to sit back and make a decision at this point.
So one phrase that we do hear a lot under the current system is catch and release. We've heard it in elections, and the idea there, the perception there is that suspected criminals are often arrested, booked, thrown right back onto the street, regardless of what they're charged with. Is that phrase accurate?
I'm not a big fan of the phrase catch and release, because I think it demeans the criminal justice system. There are a lot of moving parts in the criminal justice system. Our criminal justice system is not perfect, but it's the best that the world's ever known, and I feel very strongly about that. Obviously, someone is presumed innocent until and unless they are proven guilty in a court of law. That's a very important fundamental right that every person in this country has. At the same time, we have seen instances where someone has been released pretrial, and just as I mentioned earlier, they've gone out and committed another horrific crime. And so people get very frustrated about that, rightfully so. The community gets outraged by something like that happening, rightfully so. So we need to do everything we can, I think, and I know that my office is doing that. Our pretrial detention success has gone up 10%, even after we filed more pretrial detention motions this last year than the year before. So we are having some success around the margins.
Those cases that you described, somebody getting out and maybe committing another crime, where is the point of failure in that process?
The point of failure, I don't know if there's a point of failure. I mean, nobody has a crystal ball. Nobody. And you'll never hear me criticize a court or a judge for a decision they've made in a courtroom. I'm an old school lawyer. I revere judges. I think the world of them. We as prosecutors in Bernalillo County, we'll do our arguing in a courtroom. And the judges will make their decision based on the evidence they have in front of them. Judges live in this community too. They understand the crime problem out there. I don't think I've ever seen a judge that takes it lightly or just flippantly releases somebody just because they can. I think these are well thought out decisions, and sometimes I don't agree with them. But you're not going to hear me complaining about it. You're going to hear me continuing to ensure that our office presents the best possible case, if you will, as far as evidence to show to a judge why this person should be held.
Now, something that you brought up earlier is that 2016 constitutional amendment that overhauled the state's pretrial release system. You said publicly and just now here that you still support it. You and over 80% of New Mexicans voted to give judges the power to hold people in jail before trial. Do you see any contradiction in also supporting a change that kind of turns that idea on its head, forcing defendants to prove that they are not a danger in order to be released?
No, I don't feel that there's any contradiction in the two. I still strongly support the idea of what bail reform was about, and that is nobody should be held incarcerated pending trial just because they can't afford the $100 or the $1,000 bail money that would be necessary to be posted so that they could be released through a bail bonding company. At the same time, though, we also know, and it doesn't have to be one or the other. We also understand that there are certain people, though, because of the violent nature of the crime they're accused of, or because of their history in violent crime, or because of their history in failing to ever follow a court order. In other words, they don't show up for court when they've been released before in a lower level case. They have a history of giving the middle finger, if you will, to a court and saying, I'm not going to listen to whatever you tell me. They have a history of cutting off an ankle bracelet, an ankle monitor that tracks GPS where someone is.
Now, in June of last year, UNM's Institute for Social Research put out data showing that pretrial detention in Bernalillo County, it's been up since you've been DA. Is that not evidence that the system is working right now, and perhaps an argument against further change?
I think it's evidence that our prosecutors are doing a heck of a good job over in the district attorney's office. They're focused like a laser beam on trying to make sure we keep every single person who's a threat to the community held if they're facing severe criminal charges. I think it's a testament to how hard they work. I think it's also a testament to a recent Supreme Court case from the state, that Joe Anderson, that the Supreme Court just ruled on. But I don't think it's a testament that says we can't do better.